Hektor of the Shining Helmet, wielder of the legendary sword Durandal, and one of humanity's greatest heroic legends. Yet, not only is he forced to play second fiddle to some of the game's rather less savoury characters, but the poor man also gets a lukewarm reception from the protagonist in Fate's Grand Order, who claims to have not even heard of him, but somehow knows who the hell Amakasa Shiro is. So, admittedly, I wasn't particularly planning on making a video about Hektor, but I must say, I was at first confused by this veritable smorgasbord of compliments for a servant who, it's fair to say, is not often in the spotlight. And while I like him as a character, he is a fairly unremarkable in-game servant. Not really that good, but certainly not particularly bad either. So why all this attention? I decided to take a closer look. What did I discover? Let's find out. Hektor is quite an unusual servant. On the surface, he appears to be a regular, low-rarity farmer. However, he also has a clearly delineated second function, providing indirect defensive support to the party. Hektor's main role is that of an early wave farmer through his Buster Area of Effect Noble Phantasm, Durandal. Hektor has an advantage over his primary wave-clearing rival Romulus, in that his NP ignores defense, bypassing enemy defensive buffs. While this may seem like a trait that is more suitable to boss killers, it has great utility here as well, given that many enemy mooks now possess defensive buffs of their own. Furthermore, it inflicts a defensive debuff on all surviving enemies post-damage, allowing Hektor and his allies to quickly dispatch enemy remnants. However, there are problems. Converting Durandal into a spear seemingly dulled its offensive capabilities, with Hektor putting up fairly middling NP damage numbers. While this can be buffed via his first skill, Tactics Rank C+, this one-turn party-wide NP damage buff, which is highly useful for how it stacks with other buffs, could instead be better utilised on a boss killer later in the battle, whether you use it for Hektor or to help an ally. What is clear is that its one-turn duration is a significant limitation on the skill. Beyond damage issues, he also lacks a battery or NP gain skill, making him reliant on others to gain access to his Noble Phantasm. As well, he does have decent NP gain on his arts card. Therein lies the issue. He only has one arts card! Instead, his deck consists of 2 quick cards, which despite Hektor's riding B passive, offer neither good damage nor star generation. Both of these issues, lack of damage and NP generation capabilities, are especially magnified when he is compared to his principal free-to-play AoE Lancer competition, Romulus. Not only does boast a pair of distinct offensive buffs, even if the more powerful of the pair will likely miss, but following the 4th anniversary, he gained an invaluable 20% NP battery, giving him greater self-sustainability and allowing for greater flexibility in terms of support options. While these issues can be partially remedied by major supports like Waver and Merlin, he still lacks the self-sustainability, damage potential, and NP generation options of his rivals. But why does Hektor have such limitations? One of the main reasons is because unlike Romulus, he has a clear second role as well, that of a defense-focused support. This is primarily through his second skill, Proof of Friendship, which has a chance of inflicting a one-turn stun to a single enemy, in addition to reducing their NP charge by 1, with both components having solid value, making it a legitimate secondary support skill. Deploying it within the right situation can do wonders for the party, both stalling enemy attacks and their Noble Phantasms from launching. However, Hektor's wider supporting capabilities still come with a major problem of its own. It might even leave Hektor something of a Trojan horse. Namely, that without being able to contribute both of his supporting elements, tactics, and proof of friendship at the optimal time, it is questionable whether he brings enough value to the table. His NP damage on its own is quite poor, and a major issue with tactics is that it only lasts for one turn. If it is used to supplement Hektor's, it cannot help any of his allies. Furthermore, without this buff, even the impressive value and usability of Proof of Friendship may not be enough to justify Hektor over a more sustainable servant, again, especially when it comes to more difficult battles. Unfortunately, his third skill, Disengage, does nothing to fix this. Despite being strongly tied to his legend, the combination of a debuff clear and minor healing do little for his early wave clearing niche. But thankfully, this commitment to lore would eventually bear fruit, and give Hektor an entirely new lease on life. Hektor receives a significant buff that upgrades Tactics C+ into Guardian of Troy rank A. This increases the maximum value of the skill from 17 to 20%, but more importantly, it extends the duration of the skill from 1 turn to 3. This removes the primary issue with Tactics, namely that by lasting for just 1 turn, it is severely limited as a supporting asset, lacking the sustainability of other buffs. By lasting for 3 turns, it can be used to boost the NP damage of multiple servants, including those tackling the final wave, as well as those who performed their work earlier in the battle, such as Hektor himself. Better still, it also improves the defense support he can provide to the party. Attached to the skill is a new second component, which gives each servant on the team a damage cut for 2 attacks over 3 turns. Paired with Proof of Friendship, this gives Hektor a plethora of defensive tools which he can use to protect his teammates, giving him a much more solid second niche. As a result, this buff, while completely unremarkable on paper, transformatively overhauls Hektor as a servant. By extending the duration of Tactics to 3 turns via Guardian of Troy, this not only improves Hektor as a supporting option, thereby justifying his place on the team with its 2-way support, but it also grants him greater flexibility in deploying it as a skill, being able to use it both to buff the main damage dealer of the party, as well as his own damage as well. I've been SceneDunes, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and feel free to check out some of my other videos, including my recent look back at why Theon McCall has become the legend he is today, or alternatively, have a look at Siegfried and see how can we solve a problem like the Dragon Slayer. I've been SceneDunes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.